Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to, oh my god, I remember this guy. He hasn't posted videos in 2 months. And today we're going to be looking at Lanterns in the Mist, the special event coming out tomorrow, I guess today as to when I'm posting this video, as well as the new Cormier server and Update 70 in general. So we're going to break it down into 3 pieces. First, Cormier. Cormier is a brand new server that is opening up in Dungeons & Dragons Online. We haven't had a new server in a while. And unlike the hardcore servers which are temporary, the Cormier server is a new permanent server. And it's special because it is 64-bit. Now, if you don't know much about computers, I'll put this in the best way I can, the 64-bit server is twice as many bits as the 32-bit servers that we generally run on, which means it can compute faster and it can do more things faster. In theory, this should have better performance on the server. So, if you're like me, and you've kind of taken a 2-month break from DDO because sometimes the lag just drives you insane, Cormier, in theory, should be a nice respite. However, it is also a VIP-only server, so you can only get access to it if you are currently paying for a subscription. However, I don't think that's something that's going to be staying for the future, as they have mentioned that they have plans to do more with the server, but just keep in mind, the Cormier server, it is a brand new server. You have to start fresh. You cannot transfer characters to the Cormier server right now. They have said that there will be plans to transfer things to the Cormier server in the future, but for now, because they're running a hardcore-like event on it, they're just going to let people play on it. And I think the reason for this is they want people that basically test the server with this special Lanterns in the Mist event. They entice people to log in. They're going to be playing on the event and doing the thing. They're going to be getting more feedback about what bugs they need to fix and how they can work out some of the kinks. And then they can open up the floodgates. As per Severlin, the executive producer of Dungeons & Dragons Online, he said that the long-term goal of the 64-bit server is if they can get it to a place where it is stable and it is actually performing better than the regular servers, the long-term goal is to make Cormier and possibly one other 64-bit server, and then just transfer all the data onto those servers. So all of the old legacy servers, you know, Sarlona and Arganessen, they would disappear, and all of your data would just transfer over to the main servers, or the main servers, the new ones, the 64-bit ones. But they said they had some hurdles in doing that. One of them is making sure the server actually works in the first place, so working out a lot of the kinks. Apparently it's been going very well, and we'll talk about that with some of the patch notes and some of the things they've been patching that they didn't really find before, which is pretty exciting. But also, they have issues like you can't transfer your shared account storage right now, so that would be difficult. You can't transfer guilds yet, and that's complicated because guild chips are $200, so I don't think people want to buy those again. You can't transfer your stable. You can't transfer your pets. So a lot of those things they're going to have to figure out. And so at some point, the plan is to make it so you can transfer to those servers, and they will retire the old ones. But for now, that is not the case. Treat it like a hardcore server for now that is allegedly very, very lag-free, much more improved performance. Although we'll update that as you go. As I maybe made a video in the past that said, oh my god, DDO is lag-free, and then it got worse, and then it got worse, and then it got worse. So, you know, sometimes these things happen. So that's Cormier, the new server, that also features the Lanterns in the Mist event. So what is it? Well, the Lanterns in the Mist event is a special event that's going to be going on for 3 months, just like hardcore, and it's going to be kind of like hardcore. At level 1, there's going to be a guy, and you talk to them, and they can give you a lantern. There are 5 different types of lanterns, just like on hardcore. So you have the Lantern of Pledge, Order, Shield, Seekers, and Keepers. And the idea is you have to fill these lanterns with mist, basically. And when you fill the lanterns with mist and you're done with it, you can then turn it in and you get a reward. Now, the way that you fill them is by killing mist stalkers. And the way that they work is if you have a lantern, or someone in your group has a lantern, even if you don't have a lantern, but someone in your group has one, they'll spawn. As long as someone in your group has a lantern, then mist stalkers will spawn in the dungeon. The mist stalkers are special monsters. They're kind of like the wolves from Hardcore Season 6, where they kind of just spawn on you. So just keep that in mind. It's the same thing here. However, they did say that they will typically only get you once per quest, whereas the wolves were literally on a timer of 3 to 5 minutes. These are less frequent, so you won't be getting mobbed by wolves the entire time. Additionally, if the quest is too short, they might not appear. And you have to be within 45 meters of the Miststalker to benefit, so you can't just like spread out through an adventure zone and then have people spawning Miststalkers everywhere. That's not going to work. However, unlike in previous leagues, So like for the hardcore seasons where the rewards are favor-based, level-based, or Reaper point-based, this is actually just killing Miststalkers, as long as they're challenging to you, which means you're not more than 2 levels above the dungeon's base level. So if you're going into Kobold Ringleader at level 2 as a level 5, unfortunately, you're too many levels over, but if you do Kobold's Ringleader, the level 2 quest, at level 4, you're good to go. But it only counts killing the Miststalkers. So as a result, as long as you're able to kill them, there's probably going to be some strategies for filling the lanterns, where maybe people find a quest that they can repeat quickly. I'm not sure. But generally, you're just going to have to kill those monsters, and then they will fill up your lanterns. Once your lantern is full, you turn it in, and you get your reward, like the cosmetic half cloak of the Order of the Guardian. So you've got like a cloak here, you've got like the cosmetic shield, which is the shield over here, or maybe you want the Miststalker Sabertooth mount, which I believe is this mount that's right here. So there are some cool rewards for you to be able to earn, which is neat. However, this is a weird optional hardcore challenge because it's actually not hardcore at all. There's I don't know why I use many fingers, 2 types of actual lanterns you can pick up: regular lanterns and skull lanterns. The regular lanterns are not hardcore. Have you always wanted to play hardcore with the cool rules, but you don't like the fact that you lose your character when you die? Don't worry about it. Get a regular lantern. You can die as many times as you want. So there's no consequences here. You can just play on the server and collect yourself a really cool Sabertooth mount by filling up the Lantern of the Seekers. You just play enough, kill enough Miststalkers, bada boom, bada bing, you're done. You can do it on normal difficulty, so it will just take some time, but that's pretty cool. However, for those difficulty seekers out there, you can pick up these skull lanterns instead. Skull lanterns are exactly the same. However, they give you different alternate versions of cosmetics that contain skulls to indicate you did it on the hardcore version, because the skull lanterns, if you die, they break. Now, this is pseudo-hardcore. In the regular hardcore season, when your character dies, you get, sent to jail, do not pass go, do not collect $200. You get sent to the Land of Lost Souls, and you can't play anymore. Here, if your skull lantern breaks, well, your character's still there. You're still in the 64-bit server, so you can keep playing if you want. So if you happen to get to, like, let's say you're level 34, and you're slamming some raids with some of your friends, and you happen to eat it during one of the raids, well, you don't have to make a new character to keep playing raids. You just keep playing, you just lost your lantern. Not a big deal, and maybe you make another character to figure it out. Or maybe you decide you don't want to deal with the hardcore stuff, and you just use the regular lantern. So that's pretty cool. Overall, I think this is a better system because it allows people to opt into the hardcore, but there are a couple of weird caveats. First, anybody can play with anybody. So it's not like if somebody has a skull lantern, only skull lanterns can play with skull lanterns. You can have one person who has the skull lantern, you can have one person who has a regular lantern, and you can have 4 other people who just aren't even doing the challenge at all in your group of 6. And as a result, yeah, you can kind of carry some people to their skull lanterns if you want. You can just have like one of your friends who wants the cool challenge, but maybe they always die or they run into the rooms too fast. You can just have them stand a room behind and follow the party around, and they're going to get their reward. So people can kind of cheese it that way if they really want to. Although I imagine most people won't. I have to imagine that anybody who wants the skull thing is actually going to do the hardcore challenge, and people that don't care about the skull thing are just going to play with whoever they want with the regular lanterns and not think about it. But there is some ways you can kind of cheese it out. So just keep that in mind. The only other thing I have to say about the lantern event is that once the event is over, 3 months is over, the server stays. So the lanterns go away. You can't get them anymore. The cosmetics are done. You can't get them anymore, other than the fact that if you earned them. But yeah, and then the server stays. And in the future, they will continue to host more events on Cormier and another server that they plan on opening up, as they say down here. The Lanterns of the Mist event is temporary, but also, where is it? Events and bonuses going to be available on Cormier. Yes, we intend to offer festivals and events and bonuses on Cormier. There may be some exceptions. Initially, they won't be Night Revels for the event, so there's no Night Revels on Cormier right now when it launches, but they're going to be the festivals, going to be other events, and again, they're not getting rid of any of the stuff. In fact, are they going to be releasing more 64-bit servers? Yes, they are, because as I said, they talked about this briefly in a Fridays at 4, but the executive producer of the game, the guy that signs all the checks, he said that the plan is to make it so that they have 2 major servers and they kind of move all the data there. So that's going to be happening in the future. Now, if you don't care about any of this, you don't care about the lanterns, you don't care about the fun challenge, which I'm going to be playing on, I'm going to be streaming soon and coming back to play some Lanterns in the Mist, well, we still got Update 70 to talk about. So first, Cormier, Lanterns in the Mist, we just talked about that. The next thing is the ranged combat adjustments. So there's a lot of gibbery-jew. So I'm just going to kind of go over this quickly so you can kind of get a good idea of what all this means for the average person. So basically what they found, all these notes here, there's going to be a lot of weird notes. When they got the 64-bit servers running and they had people playing on it, the best way to describe it is think of the 32-bit servers as like a swamp. So there's a huge swamp and it's full of water and there's a bunch of muck and gunk and like trees and logs sticking out and moss and other stuff, and it's really full and bloated. So what they're doing here is the 64-bit server allowed them to drain off some of the water. And when they drained off some of the water, so they got some of the load off of the server, they basically let it handle more. What they found is other systems were being negatively impacted. So they found, oh my God, there's something they couldn't see before. Now they can see when they drain the water, oh, there's like a huge rock that is blocking a chunk of the stream that should be flowing out and removing the water already. So if they get rid of that rock, now it won't have a swamp. Now maybe you could have a river and it could flow smoothly. So the idea is that because they did some tests on the 64-bit server, they actually found performance issues they never saw before because they were being hidden by other things, specifically the fact that the servers suck total ass. So the range changes there are range changes being made to basically make it so crossbows attack slower, because crossbows attacking really fast is destroying the video game. So the long and short of it is that repeating crossbows and dual crossbows are going to shoot way slower than they do right now. Right now, you can basically have them be full auto if you want with enough attack speed, and they don't want that for the game anymore. So they are going to be getting some of these changes. So those things are going to be attacking way slower. But as a result, double shot, which used to have a penalty, so repeating crossbows used to only get 1/3 of your double shot because they shoot 3 times, and dual crossbows used to get half your double shot because they shoot twice, that's going to be gone. They're also making it so rapid reload is slower for all crossbows, so all crossbows are going to be shooting slower. So not only are they shooting slower, but they're also making it even slower with some of the feats. So, what are all these numbers going to mean for you, the consumer? You can, if you're smart, you can dig through this, you can figure this out, but the long and short of it is that if you are talking about endgame, straight up a buff. The reason why this is a buff is because the biggest parts of your damage that you're dealing as a crossbow user are your special attacks. We're talking Sniper Shot from Deepwood Stalker, we're talking Shoot Later from Inquisitive, we're talking Thunder Shock weapons from the Battle Engineer tree, we're talking Pluck a String from Fatesinger, we're looking at Hunt's End from Shirati Champion. All of these things are buttons that you press that deal a lot of damage. Now, those buttons that you press are going to be dealing way more damage because they're getting full double shot, and in some cases, their damage percentages are going up. As a result, what it means is instead of making, let's say, like, out of 50 basic attacks, you might have, like, 10 of your attacks being special moves that do a gigantic amount of damage. Now, you're only making 25 basic attacks, but you still have those 10 special attacks. So a higher percentage of your attacks are going to be those special attacks, which are dealing dramatically more damage individually thanks to their double shot. So if you're using any modern build where you have a lot of crossbow attacks, again, using the things where you press the button on the keyboard and it does the special move, those buffs or those builds are going to be performing very well because they're basically just going to be hitting a lot harder. And so if you play any kind of modern build like that, you will see a increase in your damage. However, there is a bit of a downside. Slower attack speeds means it's going to be clunkier. You're going to have difficulty readjusting targeting in short ranges. So if monsters get up close to you, it's going to be harder to actually hit them. It may feel worse for leveling just because it will feel clunkier. Sort of like how bows kind of feel clunky for leveling because you just don't shoot fast enough. So if it takes you like 4 arrows to kill one monster, you're like, pew, pew. Like, it's just so slow, it's excruciating, and you're like, there's 10 hobgoblins on me, what am I going to do? It might also feel like that during the leveling, whereas dual crossbows and repeaters are usually nice because you can kind of 1, 2, 3 a monster and then you like reload. So that might feel a little bit clunkier during the leveling process. And if you're the type of player who doesn't like using any of the buttons, so the only button you use is this button right here on your mouse, and you just mouse click people, and you don't actually use any of the attacks, you will actually feel a damage decrease as well. Because again, you're going to be losing out on some of that value. They said they want to keep it like entirely even as best as they can, and I think for the most part that's true. If you use even one attack, you're getting a buff. So like if you like even one attack, it's going to be a buff for you. But if you're somebody who doesn't use any of the attacks, and I know people like that, I know people that don't take action boost haste because they don't like pressing action boosts, but action boost haste is the single most satisfying button on the entire keyboard because it makes you attack faster. It's so good, but I know people that still don't want to do it. So as I said, if you're somebody who doesn't do that, yeah, it's going to feel a little clunkier, but if you're anybody else, and especially if you use a lot of the crossbow attacks, you're going to do a lot more damage. But I think it's just going to feel clunkier. Time will tell when we actually see it. And then other than that, just some other changes to just weird stuff. So like champion chests now decay over time. They're doing this because chests being in the game are more entities they have to load, and that's causing performance problems. There are frame rate issues in the White Plume Mountain quests, and there's probably other quests they're going to figure out because it's like all of a sudden we can now see these things that are actually causing issues. Invisible dungeon monitors in Shroud are causing lag. Why are you guys doing Shroud in 2024? I don't know, but you're lagging out the game. VFX that's created when a creature becomes frozen to help with game performance, which is like when the alchemists freeze stuff. More alchemist VFX. So stuff like that are going to get found. We're going to find more VFXs that are going to make the game a little bit smoother, and hopefully there'll be less lag when we actually get to play on the Cormier server tomorrow. Tomorrow as of recording, today as of posting. So that should be pretty exciting. The last thing that's on here, the time duration of Lesser, Greater, and Sovereign Elixirs of Discovery has been extended from 1 hour to 6 hours, which is actually very cool. This is something they did in Lord of the Rings Online a little while ago. They just made it so all the boosts last 6 hours, and it just honestly makes the game a million times better. I don't know if they're going to do that with everything, but this is actually really cool. The Elixirs of Discovery feel kind of rough because they last for 1 hour, which means you get, like, if you're going fast, 5, maybe 6 pulls on a single chest. And even at like a 15% increase in terms of your drop rate on a Sovereign Elixir Discovery, that only takes you from 33% to 48%. So in 6 pulls, it's actually possible to still have a 33% drop rate just because of the way the math winds up working out. So 6 hours does actually make it a lot better. It means you could run like, 5 or 6 sagas of like Isle of Dread and pull way more treasure with the Elixir Discovery and actually notice it. So definitely a good move. I really appreciate that. So hopefully they'll have more stuff like that in the future. But yeah, anyways, Lanterns of the Mist coming out October 23rd to a store near you. I'm very excited. I'm going to be playing around with some Lanterns of the Mist, and I'm stoked. I'm excited. I'm bumping. I'm going to be playing it. And yeah, tune in tomorrow to the stream to see what's going on. And by tomorrow, I mean today. I forget how to make videos because I haven't done it so long. Anyways, that's all I have. Thank you. Bye-bye. Drive safe. See you later.